The boy's frail body trembled beneath the crisp white sheets, his small chest rising only after long, painful pauses. Machines hummed softly in the background, filling the sterile silence of the billionaire's mansion. Doctors had come and gone, each leaving with the same hopeless expression. "There's nothing more we can do," they said. But Martha, the maid who had raised him since birth, refused to accept that. She stood in the corner, her eyes glistening, her heart whispering prayers no one could hear. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you are watching from. I love knowing who is listening." It all began 3 months earlier, when young Ethan, son of the powerful businessman Charles Wainwright, collapsed during a family dinner. One moment he was laughing about his toy car, and the next, his fork clattered against the marble floor, his small hand twitching. Panic erupted. The finest doctors were flown in overnight. Specialists from New York, London, even Zurich examined him, but every diagnosis ended in confusion. "His body is shutting down," one had whispered, "but we can't find the cause." Charles, a man known for commanding boardrooms with a single glance, found himself powerless for the first time. He spent millions chasing treatments, therapies, and cures that led nowhere. His mansion, once filled with the hum of laughter, now felt like a mausoleum of broken hope. And then, in the midst of that darkness, came Martha. She was more than a maid. She was the woman who had rocked Ethan to sleep, who had sung to him when his mother passed away. Her dark skin and humble clothes had always made her invisible in the world of the wealthy, but her heart burned with something no degree could teach. Every night she sat by Ethan's bedside, gently rubbing his hands with herbal oils her grandmother had once made back in Georgia. "Old ways still heal," she whispered to herself. When Charles saw her one night, he snapped, "Martha, enough of this nonsense. He needs medicine, not magic." She lowered her eyes but didn't move. "Sir, I'm not asking you to believe me," she said softly. "I'm just asking you to let me try." He wanted to refuse, but then Ethan stirred for the first time in days. Just a twitch of his fingers. Just a flicker. But enough to make a billionaire fall silent. The next days were like a battle between science and faith. Martha brewed her strange mixtures in the kitchen at dawn, filling the air with the scent of roots and honey. She whispered to Ethan stories from her childhood, words soaked in rhythm and warmth. The boy began responding. His breathing steadied. Color returned to his cheeks. The doctors scoffed. "Coincidence," they said. "He's experiencing temporary neurological recovery." But Martha only smiled. She'd seen this kind of miracle before, not from medicine, but from love. Then came the night the storm hit. Lightning cracked the sky and the mansion lost power. Ethan's heart monitor went dead. Panic erupted once more. Nurses scrambling, Charles shouting orders, but Martha didn't move. She placed both hands on Ethan's chest and began to hum. A low, trembling melody filled the room. And then the boy gasped. The silence that followed was so deep it felt holy. Ethan's heart began to beat again. Slowly, steadily. His eyes fluttered open. "Mama," he whispered weakly. Charles fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his face. The man who could buy anything, finally realizing that some miracles cannot be bought. The next morning, the media swarmed the mansion. "Mysterious recovery," they called it. "Unexplainable," said the experts. But when they tried to interview Martha, she simply said, "It wasn't me. It was love and faith." For the first time, Charles didn't correct her. He stood beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder, and announced, "From today, she's not my maid. She's my family." The crowd erupted in murmurs, some in disbelief, others in awe. A billionaire honoring a maid. It wasn't the world's usual story, but maybe that was why it mattered. Months passed. Ethan grew stronger, running through the mansion halls again, his laughter echoing off the marble. Charles often watched Martha and his son from the balcony, a soft smile on his face. He had learned something that night, something priceless. Because sometimes the hands that seem the smallest carry the greatest power. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And in that great mansion, once ruled by silence, the faint sound of Martha Yeeh's lullaby could still be heard, the same one that had called a little boy back to life. So, what do you think? Could love truly heal what science cannot? Tell me your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Whispered Words for more stories that remind us. Miracles still walk among us.